Hello, my name is Maria Kiss and I'm the founder of I Am Visible. I also help women discover their inner gifts and talents and then to share it in the world and become visible. So today we have a guest speaker, Susan Avila Townsend, who is Neuro Achievement Creative Coach, who is also an artist, a very accomplished artist. She's also an upcoming author, and she has lots of business experience in corporate world. So welcome, Susan.
Welcome, Maria. Thank you for having me today.
No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was so looking forward today, so that's great.
Yes, me too, as we are colleagues as well. So it's very
Yes,
nice.
we are. It's always good to catch up, isn't it? And
yes,
exchange what's new in the world.
Absolutely. So talking about becoming visible, what does becoming visible mean to you?
Well, becoming visible I think is super important. I come from a family where I always felt invisible, literally invisible, not fitting in. I grew up in Germany to a German mother and a Mexican father. So he unfortunately was not present in our lives. However, I always felt there was something not quite right. You know, when everybody around you is blue-eyed, blonde-haired, very tall, and there's this little Mexican running around. So I always felt really not fitting in at all, really invisible. I was very shy, very shy. I always loved art, so I developed that from a very early age on. That was my escape. So I always felt a little bit invisible. Same as at school. Very strange. I never liked cliques, you know, like some people that automatically fit in every clique, and I never felt that. I never fitted in any of those. And I think the first time I slightly became visible is when they made me class president. I have no idea how that happened. I still don't know. I only was it for 1 year, and I thought, oh, this is strange. So yeah. It's a really weird thing. And now I've been living in the UK for almost over 20 years now. And I have to say it has changed my life completely, because I was given opportunities here I would have not had in Germany, quite frankly, because of my language abilities. And I was able to go into private equity and help with startups, in financial startups. Then transitioned to the City of London to work for a partner, a global partner in one of the biggest investment firms in the world. That confidence I gained from that made me feel more comfortable slowly to become visible, you know, to get up in meetings and speak. And I remember the first time I had to walk into a room full of these high-paid CEOs, and I remember there were like 50 of them sitting around, and I had to go all the way around and give something, a message to my partner, and I thought I'm going to die. I literally thought I'm going to, do you know when you think like, just hold it together, just don't stumble, just, you know, and these kind of things. So, but that's just the physical activity of being visible, and then the emotional part of being visible comes with confidence, I think. I felt it, you know, when I started my own business. I had a little jewelry business. It forces you to speak to people more, and on a business level to talk to people, and then you realize really quickly, do you know what, they're just like me. It's like, you know, everybody is the same. If you're nice to them, 99.5% are really nice back to you, you know. So you just have to ask, and then it got better.
Isn't it interesting, the stories that we create in our heads about what other people think about us?
Absolutely. And you know what? These stories, they are seeded in us because they're not real, are they? They're not real. No. Absolutely not. Because I remember at home, I was always like, it's a little bit of a cultural thing. I was always told, put your light under the, we call it scheffel, put your light, don't show off, you know, that's not good, you know, don't brag. Do you always have to win was one of my big ones. Do you always have to win? Who do you think you are? You know, all these not good enough, you know, or what do you know? And these remarks might be not meant in a bad way when they're made, but they have a terrible outcome on your soul, because they can crush you. And after a while you think, okay, but why do people even listen to me? What do I have to say? You know, I just like, really? And it becomes only when other people then turn up and say, oh, but why don't you help out with this? And I think, like, really, do you want me to help? Why, you know, what do you think I can contribute? And then it dawns on you, wow, actually other people see you in a different light than you see yourself. You know, you might have had that experience as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We always kind of, you doubt yourself. And as you said, there is so much conditioning underneath that. When we grow up, obviously our parents do their best in their knowledge, that they think they're doing their best. But when we grow up,
conditioned themselves,
yes,
haven't they?
Exactly. So it's sometimes it's generational as well.
Yeah.
And I think what is, like, myself included and lots of people, that we don't even think about, when we grow up, we never revisit these beliefs that we have and look at them. Do they actually still serve us today in our life? And 90% they don't, because when you're a child, you have to create all these protections. We adjust to our environment, and they serve us at the time, because if we didn't have those beliefs, maybe we wouldn't even be here today. But when we grow up, we're independent beings, and we don't depend on our parents anymore, and we live our own lives, but we still live our lives through those beliefs as if they are still applicable.
Well, the thing is, we live our lives through the eyes of a 7-year-old, because the formative years from very young is about to 7, where we are like sponges. So we don't question, we just observe, and that's how our life is. Mom and dad do it, that's how life is. So we are sponges. And isn't it funny, as a grown-up, we live our lives by the rules of a 7-year-old. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Totally crazy. And then you wonder why people are so unhappy and marriages go, you know, because we still play by the old rules, by kids' rules, and we're adults. And that's what I'm so passionate about. I want to change this, you know, that's major, you know.
That's absolutely true. And you can imagine in relationships, having 2 children, having a relationship, but they're in adult bodies, you know, but nevertheless, they behave like children.
Give it to me. I mean, crazy, right? Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And isn't it funny? And then those 2 kids bring up kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But in business, when you look at the business, it's exactly the same thing. You can see that in business meeting, and entrepreneurs just kind of regress to a 3 or 4-year-old, you know, but that doesn't work either.
The things I've seen in business meetings, honestly, from CEOs throwing themselves on the floor, pretending to having heart attacks because they weren't happy with the issues. No lie. Hilarious, you know. They literally throw their toys out of the box because they can't deal with the stress, or somebody had a better argument. And I was just like, really? And you went to, which universities do you go for? How long? You know? Hilarious. So yeah, that alone is worth a book.
Yeah.
That alone is worth a book.
Right one on that. You see?
What was it? Diaries of whatever.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's funny.
I know. So would you mind sharing a little bit about your journey? Because obviously you have visibility in different parts. You're an artist as well as a coach. So what was the difference, and when did you first become visible as an artist, and what challenges did you have to overcome?
Yeah, I think as an artist, as I said, I always painted. I've always drawn, even as a kid. That was my safe haven, literally. So I could just let everything go and just be in that world. And yeah, it was very safe. And that's what you need as a kid, that safety. And I still feel like this today. If I'm really feel like, whoa, I have a lot on and I don't really want to do anything of it, then I just said, you know what, just get the brushes out. And that helps me. It helps me to get centered. and to calm my mind down, and then even just an hour, and then I can go back into the real world, so to speak. So visibility as an artist is interesting because you're much more vulnerable in your thoughts, because all your emotions lying on that piece of canvas. So if somebody judges my art, I get like, oh, really don't like, and it's silly because people who judge you most of the time can't draw or paint themselves. So why am I so, really, that's how I should think, but it's still, that little niggle is still there. And from a business point of view, becoming visible becomes now easier and easier, because at a certain age, you just turn around and say, do you know what, I don't care. I don't care if you like me. It's okay if you don't like me. It's okay. I can live with it. You're not paying my rent. You're not paying my bills. It's okay not to like me.
Isn't that a great thing about aging? There aren't that many sort of benefits, but one of the big benefits is that you just don't care.
It's lovely, isn't it? It's brilliant. I love it. Really, it's awesome. And because when you do this, when you start not caring so much anymore, then you become free. You literally set yourself free from other people's judgment, but only your own judgment, as well as your own judgment. Because I'm quite happy now to look in the mirror and say, oh, it's not perfect, so what?
Yeah.
Well, maybe 15 years ago, I would have been much more, what if they don't care anymore? Really? Don't care. Because also I know what I'm worth now. I know my skill set. I know I learn every single day. It's a school day. I learn every day new skills, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the way you are proud of your journey, what you have achieved so far.
Yes, of course. When you look back, as you said, where you are, you don't think you've done so much. But when you look back on your journey, and even when you look a few months back, you can notice the difference. Because as you said, every day we learn new things, and then we apply those things. I think that's another thing. There is this tendency to constantly strive for more knowledge, but never applying it. Because I know so many people, I know I'm guilty of that myself for years, of just acquiring all this knowledge, but not doing much with it. So to the point that I kind of realized, oh, I can see what, that's not going to get me very far. Knowing things and actually putting them into action are two totally different things. Do you not agree with that?
Totally agree with it. I mean, there's this old saying, knowledge is power, but that's actually totally incorrect.
Yeah.
Knowledge is not power. Applying knowledge is power.
Applied knowledge is power, yes.
Yeah, applied knowledge is power. But again, why do people hesitate to apply that knowledge? Is it because we're in the back, we hold back like, is it for me? Oh, am I that smart as that person who achieved X, Y, Z? And I don't have this degree, I don't have that technology experience. All these little things in the back of our head holding us back. And like you rightly said, you have to apply knowledge, and otherwise, how are you going to move forward? Where's it going to get you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what would you say was your biggest fear of becoming visible?
Being somebody that people would turn around and say, oh, we're not really interested, it's boring, So I still had this thing of why would they find me interesting? Why would they even listen to me? That was right in the beginning when I first started painting and when I had first my business. So that was really hard. So we're talking about 10 years ago. Painting is much longer, but the business was about 10 years ago. And so that was difficult for me to think, oh, would they even think I provide value? These kind of, that was something big for me, because you hear this now everywhere. It's this buzzword, value content, you have to provide all the time. What is value? What is value for you and for me might not be value for somebody else. Or it might be too much value because they're not at that level yet.
Yes.
So maybe we shouldn't be so focused and so anxious about, we have to create value. No, just put what you know out there in a good with good intentions that you share your knowledge, and there will always be somebody at a level of less knowledge that is very, very grateful for what you have to provide. And the other ones who know so much more, that's fine. They won't bother you anyway, you know. So.
No, it's very interesting you said that, because I've listened a while back, like when you say you're questioning yourself, do I know enough? And, you know, can I call myself expert? They said, even if you're 1 or 2 steps ahead of someone who is not as far as that, you will create value for them, because
Absolutely.
even if they go 1 step up, that's already valuable to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's almost, and I honestly believe now, having this paradigm shift in my own head, that with all the knowledge we gained, all the experience we gained in all walks of life, whether you're a mom, whether you're an employee in a company, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where your starting point is or where you're right now. You have knowledge. And if your intentions are good, you almost have the obligation to share that knowledge to help somebody out and help them grow. I think that's, and if everybody would, you know, live by that principle, can you imagine how much value would be shared in the world? Awesome. It would be so good, you know.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember the quote, but I know Marianne Williamson, she shares along those lines. It's like, who are we not to share our gifts and values with the world? Because we actually, exactly.
Because we could help somebody who is in a difficult spot and who maybe has nobody to talk to, or nobody they feel free to talk to or listen to. And this little bit of knowledge or this little bit of hope or confidence that we could give might help them over something really, really big for in their mind, really big, you know. So that's, and I think, we have an obligation to help and share. At least that's what I think, you know, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So who inspired you earlier in your life, and who inspires you today, or are they still the same people?
Well, yeah, but in a sense, in my early life, my uncle inspired me greatly. He was, he had to flee from Schlesien after the war. It was, as a young boy, seriously, no money, from a Second World War. And he made it, he had a very basic education, but his life mission was always to read, read, read. I remember to this day, he had this massive bookshelf full of books and Encyclopedia Britannica and all these kind of things. He was so knowledgeable on so many things. And from nothing, literally from nothing, he worked himself up to work in the German Chancellery, and really that high. So for him, you can be poor, but there's never an excuse to not educate yourself. If you can't afford to go to school, there's a library. If the library is closed, today we say, get your smartphone out, go online. There is no excuse anymore. Yeah, don't tell me, oh, I was held back. No. Take responsibility for your life, for your learning. Find something you're passionate about and stick with it. And I think that's the most valuable lesson I got out from him. And I'm so grateful I did, because he instilled that constant striving and learning into my brain. And that's still there, you know, every single day I think like, well, I'm so curious. I want to learn this and this and this. And it stuck with me. And another person I really have to thank is a former boyfriend of mine. He might never know. It's been like, I was 20 or something, or 19.
Yeah,
I know, young. And he had his own business already. And he gave me a book, you might know it. It's called, what's it called? Livingston Seagull something.
Okay, no.
And it's a tiny, tiny booklet about a seagull who understands that there's more in life than just flying with the flock. And become more. It's a metaphorical book, okay? And it's such a beautiful book. And he always said, oh, you can do this and you can this, and he put that little seed in my head that I can do more. And I think it's stuck. And that's why I'm so passionate about to speak to people who are younger. Well, I think, you know, if just one person said, you can do more than this, you can be more than that, you know, showed you a little bit of confidence, what a difference that could make in somebody's life. You know, maybe they don't get it from home. Maybe they don't get it from the teachers because they don't have the time, you know, or the circle of friends, because nobody thinks like that in his circle. So if there's one person who can make just a tiny adjustment, boom, you go into a different direction, you know, obviously,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yes.
you know, that would be amazing, you know.
No,
So yeah,
absolutely.
those two people.
That's brilliant. That's really,
me.
yeah, very powerful. So sometimes, you know, people think they have to have someone who is out there, but it can be a member of our family if they had fascinating story and a big influence on us, like that inspired us, then that can be our role model as well.
Absolutely. And other role models today, obviously, in the life improvement industry, there's so many great people out there who teach very valuable things. Also poets, sometimes writers, like you just lady, you know, I think like, gosh, what an amazing thought, you know. And so people like that inspire me daily. It's also people like you yourself, you've been now so creative, you took that plunge to be visible. It wasn't easy, but you did.
No,
that's inspiring to me. No, that's inspiring to me.
Oh,
I have
thank you.
business partners I work with, I've seen grown over the last years, and I think like, gosh, you know, they inspire me. My husband inspires me because he always is like so positive, and that's what you need in life, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
A really close circle who helps you.
Yeah, I mean, talking about poets, the two most famous ones that I quoted all the time are Rumi and Khalil Gibran. I mean, those two, it's amazing, especially Rumi. I mean, everyone quotes him. And if you think he wrote that hundreds of years ago.
Hundreds of years ago.
How many thousands of lives has he actually touched?
Changed, yeah. Touched, changed, exactly. Just by his thoughts and his teaching. So again, how powerful are thoughts, right? How powerful are thoughts? They change the world. And yeah, we need that right now, I guess.
Absolutely, yes. So while we're on thoughts, what is your main mission in life, or is there just one, or what would you?
My main mission in life is create value, to empower people, literally. And I know that sounds maybe a bit corny out there and a bit big, but that's exactly it. Every person I speak to, I learn something from. Doesn't matter the age, actually. It can be a young person, you think, wow, I wasn't that clever at that age, brilliant, you know. And so paying that forward, you know, empowering people. And I always think you're never too young. No. As I said, you just need a little seed and a little nudge, and you're never too old. Because even if you say, oh, I'm 70, what do I have, like 5 years left? Well, make this the best 5 years you ever had. Because life is so special. I posted the other day, one of my favorite posts was like, why do we wait for special occasions? Every day is a special occasion. You woke up, you're alive, you should be bloody happy.
And you never know how long you're going to be here, so it is a special occasion.
It is a special occasion. Make it special. You know, you don't need a reason to put a lippy on and a nice dress and make yourself feel good. No, you do it because it's just a great day. You know, and that's how I feel every day. You know.
Yeah. That's a great way of living life. I think that's how it should be. And there's so much power in that when you look at every day as your last day, not in a gloomy way, but in a way to make you inspired and make you do things. So how much more would you do? And you thought that was your last day. Oh my goodness. You try to be the best version of yourself as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
To leave a good impression on people and on the world. So
if you can leave something, okay, some people say, oh, I want to leave a legacy. And that's a big word, you know, that's a huge word. And maybe I will one day, I don't know, I hope so. But legacy doesn't have to mean huge money. It doesn't have to mean masses of followers. It doesn't have to mean all this. It can just mean I've changed one person's life.
Yeah.
That already, with his children or her children and paying forward in generations, that's a little bit of legacy that you leave and you made a difference. That's how I see it, you know.
I agree, and I always look at it, even if I help one person in their life, it's worth it. You know, you don't need to help thousands and millions of people. I mean, if you do, great. But even if you just help one or few, it still makes a difference to those few.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you know this story when somebody a couple walks along the beach, and they see all these starfish on the beach.
You know, this is exactly what I was going to say. Carry on. No, because you read my mind. No, go ahead.
Isn't that right? Because you pick it up and then the other person says, well, why do you, it makes no difference. Why do you throw it back into the sea? And you think, well, do you know what? It made a difference to that one. Because that one you saved. And, I get goosebumps now. But that's,
I know.
That's the way it is in life. If you can make you can't save them all.
No.
I'm not naive. I'm not, I know how the world runs, you know. You can't save them all, but if you can make a difference, wow, you know, that's great, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
so
great.
Coming back to like confidence, what does confidence mean to you and how would you describe it?
Confidence means freedom to me, I think, for myself, because when you, how should I say this? When I was in business, I had to be confident, appear confident, and I was confident because I was very good at my job. However, there's a difference between being super confident in just one part or being confident in the rest of everything in your life, right? And that for me, when I obtained that means freedom to me, you know. So I'm really, now I would consider myself in that sense free from my own judgment, you know. I don't get up in the morning and say, oh, this is not right, and cellulite, whatever. I don't care, you know. I really don't care. And so that sets you free. What other people think is none of my business. It really isn't. I don't care. Not in a mean way, but it's none of my business. You know,
exactly.
I can't change their opinion of me no matter what I say. Doesn't matter. So
because that's their own stuff that they're projecting onto you. It's nothing to do with you anyway.
You said it. That's absolutely right, because everybody has their own little, bad, you know, seeds in their head where they had to deal with from childhood onwards, and that's how they perceive the world around them. That's how they judge everybody.
Yeah.
So if they judge me like this, can you imagine how bad they judge themselves in their own mind?
Because we're always harsher towards ourselves than we are towards other people. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I feel actually sorry for them. If somebody attacks you, you should just say, I hope you get better, you know.
Yes.
You know, because if you attack me for something so minor or whatever, how bad must you talk to yourself every single day, you know? And self-talk is a major thing, you know.
Yeah.
You should talk to yourself like you are your own best friend every single day, you know, because who else is going to do it?
No, that's absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, it's and also I think it's acceptance, isn't it? If you can accept yourself, then you can extend this courtesy to others. You know, we might not be best friends, you know, we might have a conversation and disagree, but I can accept what you say, you know. I might not like it, but I can accept it to a certain point, or acknowledge it, at least if it's really radical and is really delicious. And obviously I can only acknowledge, I don't have to accept it.
That's true.
Exactly. So I think we should all treat ourselves well, physically, emotionally, every single day, you know. And I also think the way we treat ourselves, that comes across to other people. So we teach other people to treat us in a certain way. If I don't treat myself right, why should somebody else treat me right? You know, they look at this and think, oh, she has no self-worth. Why should, you know?
Yes.
You teach others to treat you in the way you treat you.
Yeah, how you want them to treat you. Yeah, that's funny because as you were saying it, I was just going to bring that point across myself. So we must be reading each other's minds.
We're really good today. Are we really in sync today? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Don't you feel that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When you develop more self-confidence or whatever, did you feel a shift in the way other people treated you? I was just
absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, now it answers all my questions from when I was younger, when I had such low self-confidence. Why did other people not? When I looked at other people that were actually confident, but when you look at it, how come they're so confident? I don't understand. And other people treated them as if they were confident. And then because I had no confidence in myself, of course, how can you expect other people to treat you any differently? Because we are energetic beings, and people, before anything, before we even start speaking, they feel our energy. So we project that energy onto them and then just feed it back to us. It's like a mirror, isn't it? They reflect how so we can learn a lot from how people treat us. Rather than being angry about it, we should be grateful, because that means there is something that we can work on that aspect of ourselves, because obviously that's how we project ourselves onto other people. And consciously we feel like that inside, but we're not aware of that. So actually doing us a great favor, they are showing us how we feel unconsciously about ourselves.
Wow, that's a powerful statement, Maria. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done in a book.
You see, you're inspiring me, obviously.
No, it's absolutely true. You're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And write it down, make notes.
Yeah, I should. 5 minutes later I will forget, but luckily it's recorded. So
yeah, it's recorded. I have a preview. But it's amazing, isn't it? Because you're absolutely spot on. They're holding a mirror up. So if you're arrogant to somebody and you think, because a lot of people think when they try to be assertive, right? They come across as arrogant because they don't have the inner confidence of being truly assertive. So they think, oh, I'm really, and that makes me, it doesn't, it makes you just look arrogant. It doesn't make you look assertive, because great leaders don't need to be loud. Great leaders, they listen and they understand, and they pick up and they make people grow. They just don't, they don't growl at people, they help them grow. So assertiveness is often mistaken, or arrogance is often mistaken for assertiveness. So if you think you're really super assertive and a great boss, and people don't react to you that way, then, like you said, that's a great mirror. It's like, what's going on? Why?
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. And on picking up on your point of energy, we all project a certain energy, don't we? We feel it from other people. Sometimes you meet somebody and they haven't done anything bad to you or said anything. You feel like, no, I just need to walk away. Yeah. It's our gut instinct, it's our third brain down here. Hello,
yes.
Here, gut instinct.
They have three brains, yes.
That tells us, he's not from your tribe, move away. And we should listen to this, And in the same way, sometimes you walk into a room and you just gravitate to certain people and you think, gosh, how nice,
Yeah.
And we should always listen to it.
Yeah.
Always.
We should. And
energy is everywhere, isn't it?
Energy is everywhere, even in this laptop. Talking to you, even when it's not visible, it's still energy, isn't it? It just slowed down. Yeah.
We had two, where we cause completely moments where we completely.
Yes.
It
is. It is. Energy travels. It has no barriers.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Oh gosh, yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Excellent. So what would be the last words of wisdom that you could share with our audience?
Wisdom. Last words of wisdom. Trust yourself always. Listen to that inner voice who warns you. Get intuitive. Learn how to be intuitive. Trust that inner voice. And I'm not talking about that inner voice that says you can't do this. I'm talking about that gut feeling voice who always is right. And I think because we trust so much on external influences, stimuli, whether it's media. Oh, I understand the irony. We're using a medium now to connect, but TV, anything that is on YouTube, Instagram. Not everything is real, so you have to sharpen your wits, think critically, and trust your intuition and improve your intuition, because there's a reason why we were blessed with it. So use it, in every walk of life. So that's great advice. Yeah, I definitely, intuition is very important. That's very important part of my life. Well, that's one of my number one is it? Yeah.
values. Yeah, it's intuition. Whole my life. If I didn't listen to it, I knew that's not things didn't turn out well. But
Really?
if I
Did you
listen,
have that
yeah.
experience when you didn't? Did you have an experience when you didn't listen?
Yeah, I did, and then I knew it at the time. I made the decision. That's the thing, you know. I knew, no, this doesn't feel right, but still somehow, sometimes you go with it for other reasons because people sort of persuade you to do it, and then you go, and then you learn your lessons through that. And
so you were aware of both. How interesting.
Yes,
How interesting.
yes, I was, and still, the minute I made the decision, I knew it was wrong decision.
It was wrong.
It was wrong decision, yeah. But,
anyway,
there you go.
You know better.
That's why we have experiences in life, don't we? To learn from them.
You know, every day is a school day.
Yes.
You learn every day.
I know. Well, thank you so much, Susan. It was so lovely chatting to you today, and thank you for all your wisdom and sharing all your nuggets with us. And,
my nuggets, my gold nuggets. Make women, notes now. Write your book. Make notes.
Yes, yes, I will. I will. So if our audience wanted to get in touch with you, where could they find you?
Well, I am on Instagram under Susan.Avila Townsend. And I'm on Instagram also as the Creative Achievement Coach. And I'm also on Facebook as the Creative Achievement Coach. And soon I, hopefully in the bookstores, as an author of Super Bowl, of Soul Bowl. So that'd be awesome. And so they can get in contact with me anytime.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you. It was a pleasure to catch up.
Mine too.
Thank you.
And for our audience, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. And there are more fabulous interviews coming up. Thank you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.